Okay, it's what is what is today? Wednesday, the 8th of January, 2025. I'm on the I'm on the behind the streams, no, behind the screens channel. Well, obviously on there because if you're watching this, then you know that. Give me a moment to put the word out since I'm kind of going live at the last moment here. Let me see what's going on. Let me add Let me add some. I gotta find myself. See if I can find my own channel. There I am. There. Here. Gotta make sure I'm not playing myself. Okay. Copy this link. Share. Create a post. Hey, I'm live working on my hex crawl. Hashtag hex crawl 25 hex map. Post. Something that I feel like they need to work on with the the well, they have to work on with I think the YouTube notifications. I think they take too long. I'm gonna go to Discord out of the way. I think they take too long to go through because I know when I'll post something, and I don't know. I did notice that there's a bell icon. Well, everyone knows the bell, or I think most people know the bell. Let me just post this on Discord. Hey, I'm live now. Bloop. Yep, I'm live. I'm live. I'm doing this thing. At some point, I'll get this hopefully a smoother process than than doing it while I'm on the stream. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Okay, I think I'm done with that. I'm done with that hot nonsense. Now I can look, focus, focus my attentions, my mind, my intellect on what we have before us. What I have done here is I've taken my map that's in my Joy of Hex Maps book, which started off. Let's see, started off here, and then we've steadily been adding details to it. And yeah, I think I'm going to skip this one because I could just do this. So what I need to do, I'm in Worldographer. I think the idea behind using Worldographer for this Worldographer map isn't going to go into the book. I'm actually kind of happy with this, my rough, but I think usable hex maps with just kind of quickly drawn icons. I think it kind of shows to me part of the simplicity of what a hex map can be. You can get crazy with the icons, and people do beautiful work, but you don't need it. You don't need it. You just need something that speaks to you, gives you the representation of what you're working with. So I probably will keep those icons, but the source document for this is in Affinity, and it's fine, but it's not the easiest to manipulate, and I'm probably even doing so pretty inefficiently. And it's just kind of a pain. I try to organize things with layers and things like that, and it's not a mapping program. It's all this stuff on different layers. So, like in the Affinity file, I have the blank hexes, then I have the terrains, then anything else. They're all kind of on layers on top of each other, and I have grouped them together variously to try to uh, make things easier for myself. Hey, Ian, and it works okay, but it can be kind of annoying. It's easy to sort of make mistakes, and sometimes I'll look and stuff because I've copied and pasted a symbol. It ends up on a different layer. Sometimes it ends up outside the group, and it's not that fun for the manipulation. So what I was thinking is I can have this Worldographer version that I can use to kind of develop and finagle and get it, and then once I've got that Worldographer version set, I can just look at it and then do the work in my Affinity file. But I don't have to do. I can kind of save myself some mucking around and just do it. So that's where I'm at. Hey, Brian. So I'm obviously I just started this map this morning. So all I've done is put in the basics terrain. So I need to put in all these kind of symbols. This I just did this today too. I put in, I think I did this today, or maybe I might have done this yesterday. Did I do it yesterday or today? Anyway, as I've been putting all these examples in, so the first thing I had was put in the settlements, but not to put in the settlements just as settlements, not to worry about are they towns, are they whatever, there's settlements, and then to look at the patterns of settlements, which is something that I'm going to be using over and over again in this process, and what I'm suggesting to folks to use. Obviously, do what you want, but using patterns, I think you can save yourself a lot of work. So we're not looking at these settlements as individuals yet. We're looking at them as part of a whole. So here we have one, whether it ends up being one kind of kingdom or duchy or whatever. Because remember, these are 3-mile hexes, so not super big. So when we say, oh, this is or I mean, it still could be a kingdom. It's just a kingdom. It's just a place where someone calls themselves a king, right? Whatever. Or if this is maybe one kingdom and these are different things, like I'm not worried about that. Here we obviously have some little outliers over here, and we have a little outlier over here. But that looking at these all together shows that we have kind of like this seven settlement block, which means that some of these sites will develop maybe a little bit more. So in the end, I have a town here, a city, or really just a city, just a large town, but a city here, one town over here, and then walled villages, which I thought made sense because these are these kind of bad lands, broken lands that they're all kind of. I feel like these might be very isolated, along with this one over here. And I thought in the mountains you might have this kind of isolated stuff here, but the reason why I upgrade this one in the middle to a town, or these to towns, is that towns. So I guess I should probably write this up in the document. This is going to be something that's fairly opinionated, but I've talked about it before. Is there's a way of classifying your settlements, and this I've run into a couple times, and it makes sense to me, and it makes it easy to me once I started looking at classifying things in this way. And it's very simple. Classification really only has 2 levels. Things just kind of fell into place, made my mind click. And that is that villages are about producing things, mostly food, but you could also look at something like a mining settlement, or mining camp kind of as a village type thing. They're producers. They produce stuff, right? We usually think of food. Villages produce food. A town is not a producer. A town is, you can look at it like it's a conversion. It takes in raw materials from villages and it converts it into things. It might convert one thing into another thing, like trade, right? Oh, you give me this and I'm going to take that and I'm converting it into something else. It's all about these conversions, and then also kind of control. This is where your administration is. This is where your you can look at education, administration, all this kind of stuff. This is that kind of, so you think of it as kind of conversions. So towns don't have a lot of, they need stuff coming in. They're not self-sufficient. Towns are not self-sufficient. And a town might have villages or farms around it that supply some of it. But if you think about it, a whole village basically is producing enough, and especially we're talking these 3-mile hexes, like this village here, or these villages here, basically they only generate a little bit of surplus per village, and they're generating their own surpluses. Like the farmer is generating surplus for him, and then he's giving some of that extra surplus to the local lord. But you think about it, everybody who's not producing food in the village is a consumer, right? And they're drawing from those surpluses. So once you take all the non-workers in the village, including if there's any kind of administrator, it's usually there's like a local lord and maybe his retinue, whatever, depending on the size, or those 5, 6, 7 people, and maybe whoever is reports directly to them, something like all those people. So then once the village is kind of taking care of all that, and there's more surplus, they can send that on. That can be like what the farmer would put in his wagon and take to town on a market, to a market town, or on a market day in a town to kind of sell, right? So you need for a whole town full of people who are, most of them are not working. Where's all that food coming from? It's coming from the surrounding villages. So, or surrounding, I call it, I think I use connected as the term, because it could be surrounding. You can play around with it. Are they on roads? How far can they travel? Or roughly speaking, fairly close. Because remember, we don't have refrigerator. In this, at least in the kind of fantasy medieval games I'm running, there's not refrigeration's not a thing. So you could dry some stuff. You could do some tricks, but a lot of stuff has to be pretty close. It's got to be within probably half a day's ride, because someone's got to be able to get there and then get home again. So simple ways just to kind of look like, well, are these kind of connecting to each other? So we have this unit here. This one seems like the obvious of these. Any of these could have been the town or the city, which could end up being the capital of this. Because really, cities are just bigger towns. So you really just have a division between, villages and towns. And then cities are kind of supersized towns, capitals, that kind of thing. But there's no functional difference between a city and a town. But there is a functional difference between a village and a town. That's the way I'm looking at it. But like I said, I find that looking at it this way starts to make sense. You don't end up with town. If you start to think of it in that, okay, towns need to have villages and all these things, then you won't end up in a weird situations where you have towns in the middle of nowhere. You can't. They have to have, the town has to get stuff from it. There has to be villages, right? Because everybody, 90, whatever percentage, a high percentage of people who are not working in town, all those people need food coming from somewhere to live. So this middle one here made sense to me as being the city location, because you have two rivers that are kind of not, they don't quite converge there, but I might change that so they kind of converge here. Basically between two rivers on the side of the lake. So it seems like this is perfect city spot. And then this, to me, I think this made sense as a town, because it feels like if we're looking at where trade might be coming off the region into it, it seems like, I haven't drawn any yet, but it seems clear there'd be a road, road coming in. And this, I feel like this one makes sense because you're on the water again, you're on the river, and you're on that sort of border area, so stuff would come in. Brian, as we're talking supply chain, a little bit. And then these square ones are just manorial villages. So a village with a local lord presiding over it, basically, right? That's it. Walled villages. It's interesting when I was looking. I don't know. Research feels like I feel like that's too professional a term. Research is probably too strong. But I've been reading some books on kind of early, not early medieval, like the the hundreds to like the year 1000, a little bit beyond that. And there's some interesting things about how you get walled villages. This kind of it's like this progression towards kind of castle building, and you started off with basically you would have a village, and the village might have a strong point, like kind of a proto castle, like one of those Mont and Bailey type deals where you have a hill somewhere, you put palisade around the hill, maybe you have a tower in there, all starting off all being as wood, and then if trouble came, everyone could just run up in there, and it was basically a kind of a communal place. And then eventually that turns into your kind of strong men or strong people end up sort of becoming the administrative, or the however that works, or the evolution of sort of having these strong local leaders who then kind of move in there and stay in there, and that kind of becomes their castle, because castle really means like a residential fortress, if you will. It's like a fortified location that people actually live in, is kind of what people, I think technically a castle is referring to. That kind of specific thing is, it's not just a fortified spot that's also a residence. So strong person comes in, takes over that, and that kind of becomes their spot. And of course there'd be situations where people would come in and then build castles to then dominate the landscape. So maybe you're in what had been a quiet area with just some villages, and maybe there was few castles because there wasn't anything bothering them, and some guy's like, oh, I want to take over. So what do they do to take over? Well, they build this castle, which then is used offensively, because you can sortie from this castle, and you're then someone chases you back and you're protected, makes things difficult, and you end up controlling basically some radius around your castle. So I was really thinking about this, like, well, how did then, like, well, how did, but some villages end up with walls, and how did that work? And or towns end up with walls, and they don't have castles. Because I was thinking, like, well, okay, that makes sense. And then I always thought of towns then as being this accretion around the castle. Is the castle starts off being where you've got, okay, the lord and his people, and then they start as they start getting wealthier and there's more stuff coming in and people are kind of coming around the castle, like the town, like spreads out like an accretion disc from the castle with all the trades that the lord can bring in. Oh, I can bring in a blacksmith. Oh, I can bring in a silversmith. Oh, I can bring in whatever. And all these people are setting up shop. And generally, oftentimes in that fortified spot is where they would have their shops located to be protected, right? So that ends up being kind of how your town works. But then there were situations I read looking at the Viking invasions and things like of England where there were walled towns that didn't have castles, and it's like, well, how did that come about? And it turned out, at least in the what I've read of some of these Viking invasions, that I forget who it was. These two kind of, I guess they were national heroes. I think it was a brother and a sister, and what they were doing was they were fighting back the Vikings. And one of their techniques when they were fighting back the Vikings was to recapture. So when Vikings come in, they take a town, and then these folks would come in and they would beat back the Vikings from the town. So once they freed the town of Vikings, they didn't just leave it. They decided to fortify it to make it harder or impossible for the Vikings to get back. So they beat out the Vikings, and then they fortified it. So they put a palisade wall around it, creating a walled town, or it could be a village too. But it wasn't the way it created out from the castles. So we kind of have these two, I guess, various developments, and I think it's really going to depend on however you want to run it. Obviously, you can do whatever you want. It's a fantasy game, make up stuff, but I really like kind of leaning into that stuff. And so I was thinking about some of these areas that are more, they're not part of large power structures or part of the kind of almost arms race of castle building, that you might end up with more kind of walled villages and so forth. So I have some of those like in the mountains. I thought maybe that makes sense. And then these over here and this over here, which seem like they're in kind of, they must be isolated in these sort of badlands type areas, barrens, and they would maybe isolated too. So I thought maybe it makes sense to have the kind of walled villages there as opposed to castles. Brian asks if you're a doomsday prepper, is your emergency bunker considered an underground micro castle? That's a good question. I like the term underground micro castle for sure. All right, so let's start putting some of this stuff into. What do I need? I think I need to go to features in Orlographer. I want to just go to classic. I might need to. I think there's a whirlpool symbol I can use for. Yep. Well, I guess you can't see it here, but did I do that yet? Is it on this one? Let's see. That. No. Wait, what is it? Let's see. That's that. I thought where's my whirlpool? Ooh, is it not there? I did. What? Hmm. Oh, portal. There's my portal. Yeah. And I have one portal. Where is it? It's over there. Okay, so I can use the whirlpool for that, which I guess I'll just place because I'm thinking about it. It's gonna be right there. I need a. Hey, Charles. Charles says catching up with the video but watching it 2 times speed. I may find it interesting to read about Chinese historical walled village, which was just one big building. Oh, cool. No, I would be interested in reading that. If there's a specific book, or maybe I can look up Wikipedia. But that sounds pretty cool. All right, I'm just gonna add stuff in kind of hodgepodge as I see it. I need a burial kind of thing, which I think for Worldographer I'll just use. I think there's a tombstone. What is that? A cenote? No, I don't need to get that complicated. What's that? Tombstone. There we go. I can use the tombstone. I'm using a little mound with a cross, but that doesn't really matter. There's one up here. And then I think I had 3. One down and there was one over here. And then let's see, I gotta put my little circles and things. I don't need an X. Wait, where are the circles? I know there are circles. Do I need to what the do I need to widen it? Is it one of those things where I'm not getting everything? Hmm. Why am I missing? I thought there were. Is there not? Hold on a minute. Shapes, features. Do I need to go to classic? All right, let me go to all. See, all just gives me too much. I don't need all these. I just want. Yeah, some of them. There we go. All right, so I'll put in my towns. Wikipedia was the source. Okay, I'll check it out. That sounds cool. So I'm gonna put one. That's fine. Just stick them in the middle. I don't care. One there. One there. Now I need a square with an outline. Guess I'll have to use. Well, let's see. A plain square are ruins. I got one there. I've got one, two there. I've got one here. I need this for my. What are we calling this? This one's going to be the city. Yes. No, that's a square, circled square. What would a circled square? But they don't have an outline square. Things I should have looked up before I got started, but okay, so I'm gonna have to just call the circled square basically my fine. Put one there, put one there, put one here. One goes here, one goes here, one goes here. I think that's it. Brian says, what about fantasy fortifications? A few druids on hand to throw up temporary bramble fences, cockatrices, and chain of stakes all around the perimeter of the town. Yeah, I mean, you absolutely can do all that. I mean, this is that thing, right? you kind of have two choices when you're building stuff. Like I'm doing this as like an example, and I think that's where I'm not at that resolution yet, right? That's where you're drilling down. I would say basically my thing would be, well, you have these, and I guess I'll use this for the walled villages. You have these walled villages. What is the nature of the walls? And then yeah, come up with whatever you'd like. I'm not gonna. I feel like I'm not at that level yet. That's your individual. You're drilling down your individual hex, and you got that stuff going on. And of course, your tone too. Like, do you want to have, like, how much of that stuff do you want to have? Do you want to have all kinds of creative, magical? Do I only have one cave? I thought I had two. No, I do have two. It's over here. Do you want to have all kinds of magical things, kind of a real sort of fairy tale, fantastic vibe, or are you looking for something more drill? It's kind of like what is a wall? In this case, a wall could be a druids that are calling up bramble fences. It could even be like you think of Rivendell, the defense of the river in Rivendell in Fellowship of the Ring. That's kind of like Rivendell doesn't have a wall, but you could look at that and say that's kind of the wall that they're able to raise those, basically bring those waters if it's something they can do kind of on command. Which I have to read it. It's been a long time since I've read it, but I don't know if that's exactly true. But let's just assume that they can call the waters down when they need to. Then that, in a sense, is a wall, right? But at this level, the level of abstraction I'm at, where I'm trying to do all this, I'm not. That's way too far into the weeds, detail wise, than what I'm trying to do now. But certainly, when you get to that point of keying individual hexes, or if you get to the point where you're thinking out, well, who lives here and how do they live here? How do they survive and what do they do? Then yeah, you could totally have all kinds of crazy stuff. Jason says, I might try the Hexed Pro and just watch where I zoomed in on it. Not perfect, but pretty good. Worldographer is very good. It has some quirks. It has some ways it does things, but I don't know if there's anything out there that's as powerful it's now and the other thing, you haven't even seen this yet, but I'm just on this upper level, and you can actually zoom in. I'm not going to do it here because I don't need to, but you can have multiple layers of your map that all kind of zoom out, so you can have a world view, and you can have a continent view, and a kingdom level. Like there are these different levels you can call upon, and you can do a lot of nifty things with it. And there are different icon sets and things you can get. I'm just going with kind of the classic, or kind of, I don't know, this kind of hex. It's the Worldographer's sort of default classics, but there are other ones you can get. It's very nice. It's not as I think some people like some of the hex kit stuff because it's more sort of, I don't know, high designy, high concept kind of designy, and there's all kinds of web tools. But I find when it comes down to it, I can run this on my computer instead of in a browser. It's got those multiple levels. You can add notes. You can do all kinds of stuff. It can generate a whole bunch of stuff for you. It is quite good. It's not free. There's a free demo. In fact, I think I'm on the demo version of 2020, the 2025 version, but it's a one-time charge. And I think the Worldographer. So this is kind of like, I think it's maybe we'd call this Worldographer 2. So there was Hexographer first, and then the Worldographer, and then this is the second, I guess the second full version of Worldographer iteration. And but he was supporting, or Inkwell Ideas supporting Worldographer 1 for a long time. I mean, it's not like they're not doing the thing where, oh, they're upgrading every year. No, they're not. It was kind of a long time coming to get this update. So I would feel if you're okay paying for a product that you're going to get a heck of a lot of use out of, I feel like this is a good one. And they're good folks. It's a small, he's a small shop. I've met him a couple times. He's nice, friend of the channel, I would say. But I wouldn't. I'm not trying to have you go out and get it because it is very good, and that's why I use it. I use it all the time when I'm doing this stuff. Okay, so I think I got my settlements. Oh no, I got to do another villagey thing. Where's my village icon? Down here. Got. I will say this: the tombstones and the tombstone caves and ruins all seem kind of samey. Is there another symbol I can use for something that might just, what is that? Totem? What is something that kind of speaks sort of religious-y, religious-like? Or maybe I could change the color? Actually, no, can I change that one? Is there a color? Scale, override. I don't know. I'll leave it alone. I think I can see it well enough. Okay, now that's that. So I have these other ones, which is basically lines with, like do not enter kind of things. That's for hazards, which is actually the thing that I want to do. That's what I actually was thinking I would be the most part of the stream. Is I just was been putting together my kind of hazards tables, so I figured I could give them a run, for their money. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything on this other stuff. I wish these didn't look quite so much alike, but I could see the lines. And this is not going to be the final version anyway, but Okay. Yeah, let's get hazardous. You're right. So this has not, here we go. It's right here. I've not put this out yet. This is if this goes well, if I feel like I'm getting decent results. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to go back and forth. Hold on a minute. Let me map out where the hazards are, and then I'll have to place them. So I'm just gonna place some X's. Let's get some X's or maybe I'll do red dots so they show up a little bit more. So I got this, 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 this. I definitely have a lot of hazards, but I think that's okay. Because one of the things that I think I talked about yesterday was I really, my intention is that when you're running through this stuff and you're creating and these hazards are popping up, you want to be looking for how you can group them together. Did I? No, I think that's right. So you want to kind of group them together where you can, and then you're writing up. where you see these groups, you're writing up one hazard that would be for all the groups, as opposed to, I mean, you don't have to. Obviously, you can do whatever the heck you want. But, I think I had an example in the book where, hey, I took these and okay. And instead of saying these are different groups, or maybe it would actually, I think I forgot that this is swamp. But you might look at this here and be like, oh, all right, this is, I think I called it the golden quagmires, where it's kind of it's like quicksandy, but you can't see it because there's this kind of tall grasses that hide it, so it's very treacherous. But that covers, depending on how we want to do it, two or three hexes. So that's it. So once I've got that hazard, there's 3 hexes accounted for. Now I still might want to add individual details, an individual something else for each hex if I want to, but that becomes one hazard that I'm sharing. Same thing around, it might be these 3 or maybe these 3 or these 4. You might look at, yeah, that's one hazard. Definitely this desert, that's one hazard. It could even be this hazard here. It might even be also true over here, but maybe it's something else. In the mountains, I would definitely say, like, yeah, it's probably the same kind of thing. Same thing for these two uh, broken lands, barrens. So really the idea is, the concept is that you'll kind of cross generate, or you'll look for these patterns. You're gonna, top down, right? We've got this bigger area. What kind of regions do we have? Look into what kind of areas. We group things together as we go, and then when we're writing up we can key out the big regions, then we can key out those interior areas, and then we're gonna have a lot of content, and then where we want to put individual things, we can key those out individually, and some of that will be a lot of overlap in things, but I think it will help make your place feel like you have a lot going on, but cut down on the work. Like, you can have a lot of areas feel unique, but areas can feel very unique. Individual hexes can feel unique, but you can have an empty hex, but it's going to have this particular hazard going on. It might have wandering creatures and whatnot. So trying to get, I guess, a lot of bang for your buck in terms of what you're doing with the hex mapping. All right, well, let's get into it. So I got these tables. So we're going to roll for a hazard type, and then we're going to roll for they'll tell us what kind of hazard it is. There might be another, well, I goofed this up. This should be 5, 6, not plus plus. I'll have to amend that later. I have 3 types. Environmental, basically something about the kind of the weather, the airs, whatever, a terrain like the actual grounds, or a creature. And then for your environmental hazards, right now I have 3 choices, and then I have like a special or weird. The special or weird one comes up, the one that I have that's denoted in the document 2 pluses. That's as if I roll if I roll doubles. So if I roll 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, kind of thing, then that you can get kind of a magical weird sort of thing going on. Otherwise, it's the severity, and the one would be the severity and one would be the kind of hazard. So I'm just going to go in order. And like I said, I might roll these and just group. I want to use these groups to their advantage. So let me roll. Well, I got to roll, I guess. Well, let me roll 1. We'll see what we get for if it's. First thing I do is drop my die. Well done. First one down the chute. Oh, come on. You're kidding me. Oh, and it's way in the corner. I'll have to get that later. That is gone. All right. 3. So I got a terrain hazard. Now let me get another die because I lost one. So now I'm going to roll 2 dice. And I got 4 and 6. So it's severe and winds or storms. Yep. Hey, Jean-Luc. Yes, I dropped it twice. All right, so we've got winds or storms that are very severe. Well, that actually makes a lot of sense. I don't know how best. Is there a wind thing here? I don't want to use that because I'm already using that. What is this? I don't know what that is. Is there one for weather? Gotta be something, right? All features. Is there one for weather features? Classic water, cosmic creature, structure, perspective, token. What's token? Oh, that's people. No, I don't want tokens. What's line art? No, I don't want line art. General. All right, well, that is very general. It's classic water. Oh, no, not classic water. Classic, let's see. What do we got? I just need something kind of windy. Windy or stormy. That kind of looks stormy, but it also looks, it says ice flow. What is that? That's ice flow is sitting next to hot springs. Okay. None of these really the windy one, the water one, whirlpool one seems the one that fits the best, but it's also the one that doesn't seem to fit the best. I should put the giant crab symbol up. Is there nothing else? Let me just scroll down this list again. There's got to be something like a wind blowing or a storm, a cloud. Can we get a cloud? No cloud. I mean, I don't want a volcano. I don't want a whale. Ooh, what's that? That's Cosmic Sun. Okay, I could almost use Cosmic Sun for that. Really, there's no clouds? Those are like white trees. Oh, we got buildings. Wow, there's a lot of stuff here. If I was building a town, that would work, but okay, so no. All right, I'm going to have to use the whirlpool. I have to use the whirlpool, and we're going to have to do a color switcheroony. And I'm going to set the color to, it's got to be, what is a good, we already got white, can't have white. I feel like some of these are not gonna blend in enough. Well, let's see how this works. Oh, maybe that'll go. And now I see, now here's a nice thing I can do. So I can also add notes. Hazard, severe sandstorms. So I can just copy that. Copy that. Oops. Copy that. Okay. All right. So we got that. So there it is. So now we've got these three covered. This one, let's roll it and see what we get for this desert one. If it's any different, I got a 5. So that's a creature hazard. So I'll roll 2 dice for the creatures. And I got, what is that, 3 and 4. So it's a magical monster. I should probably put like strong, severity, strength, right? So it's a fairly, so it's a magical monster, but maybe a mid-level, I don't know, like a 4 to 6, 4 to 7 HD magical monster. But we have a monster thing. I know there's a monster symbol. Where are you, monster symbol? No, I don't know who you are, but you're bugging me on stream. Get off. There we go. There's a monster. Oh, whoops. I didn't want to. I don't need to override the color on that. Okay. Oh, you can add a ring? Nice. Oh. That's kind of clever. Okay. Got a monster, and we'll say it's, add a note. Creature, or magical, was it magical animal? Animal, approximately 4 to 7 hit dice. Okay. And maybe it layers there, maybe it's just, and maybe someone can answer me that. Someone who's here in chat, you always think of like creatures, oh, they got their lair somewhere. But obviously, if you think of wolves in a wolf's den, do wolves really den? Do they have a set lair, or they just wander around? I always wonder, and something I've always wondered about. Maybe somebody knows what do deer do? Like when they're not out walking by the road, like where do they go? When you're out in the country, and at early in the morning or in the evening, the deer will be wandering out in kind of human view, or at least presuming you don't live out in this out deep in the woods or somewhere. But I always wonder, like, what are they doing? What are they going? Are they just out in other fields we don't see other times of the day? And do they sleep at night? Do they sleep standing up? Magnus says the deer are plotting our downfall. I hope somebody is. But I always wonder, like, where are they going? What are they doing? Are they just in another part of the countryside wandering around? Do they lay down and sleep somewhere? Do they sleep standing up like cows? Like, what are they doing? They don't have a lair. At least I don't imagine they do. But here we got a creature, so that's cool. We got whirlpools over here. You know what? Actually, hold on a minute. Let me do something. I think I actually might select. Let's change the color to. Let's make it black. Here we go. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. Bam. All right. And with the red eyes, they look even more intimidating. Brian says they lay down and hang out until the weather is nice, until the sun goes down. Okay. Oh, wait, I just need one at a time for this. All right, so now we're in this, we're going to do this mountainous area, which is up here. So like I said, because these are all connected, I'm going to assume it's one, that they share one particular terrain issue. I got 6. So we're talking a creature, unless I get another 6. No, creature 1. So, oh, wait, sorry. 1, oh, so I rolled hold on, let me do that again. I rolled a creature, I rolled 2 dice, I'm going to get my setup here, and I got a 6, and I got a 1. So it's a monster, but a low level monster. Infestation. Go back here. I'll make another note. Monster. I don't know. We'll call it 1 to 4 hit die, roughly. Somewhere in there. And like I said, this will probably be one monster whose range, whatever, depending on what it is. Maybe it's and I could roll, and maybe at another stream, gonna drill down deeper. I could roll, use the flyers table or the mountain table in BX to see what kind of creature it is, and that maybe its range is it's flying around there, and then we can place a layer, or we could place it during play. Like it doesn't, maybe not too much. T-Ball, hey T-Ball, says they think wolves den in spring when they have pups. Ah, okay. But outside of spring, they're just running around, sleeping where they want. That's because that's something that shows don't, a lot of the TV shows, which is how I get most of my animal knowledge, that they don't really show that. I'd love to if there was and I've said this before, I think there's a gap in books, at least to my knowledge, of books that give you a lot of the factoids and stuff that you might get when you're visiting a zoo or a museum, where you'll get all these things about the animals, but they just give you kind of a blurb about it. Like I'd love that. Maybe in like a particular, I guess, a biological encyclopedia, which I assume they have, like a dictionary of animals or something. I don't know, that has all this kind of stuff. But it's not too technical, too in the weeds, but it also is a bit more technical than what you might get in a dictionary. Something more than a dictionary definition of wolf, but less than a biological textbook. Maybe these books exist somewhere. I don't know. Zoo books. Yeah, a zoo book. Okay, so we got monsters over there. We got another hazard in the grasslands there, and it's kind of on its lonesome. So I'll roll it up on its lonesome. I got 1, so it's environmental thingy, and now I'll roll 2 dice. And I got a 6 and a 3. So we've got, it's a sun temperature thing that's moderate. So sun or temperature, meaning it could be like very hot, very cold. Something's going on, just for whatever reason, maybe because it's in this position that there's like no cloud cover, like the sun, for whatever reason. Oh, that was actually an actual thing. Zoo books. I didn't know. Brian, I thought you were inventing something. Oh, I had no idea. I wonder if someone's got a cheap collection on eBay or something I could try to get up. So we've got a sun thingamajig here. Okay. What can I do? So I'm going to cosmic. There, I'll get a sun. And maybe it's something like I don't know. Maybe it's very high altitude. Remember, we have mountains over here in these broken lands, so maybe this is high. Well, no, it can't be because. Well, maybe actually it could be because maybe there's a cliffs or something. I don't know. There's some kind of division here. There's some kind of cliffs or something, but or just it's very naked. No cloud cover. Intense sun. So we've got environment, intense sun, little to no cloud cover. There we go. Something like that. And this does not have to be the final thing of what it is, right? It's just we're just kind of getting some loose inspiration. So now I have this Badlands. Well, I have a few things. Let me do this. We've got well, I got this one here. Let's do this Badlands. Okay, so we got this Badlands area here, which is between the monster, or I think it's just a magical creature, right? And the sandstorms. We got 2, so it is environmental. Now I'll roll 2 dice. A 5. No, is that a? Yep, 5 and a 4. So I got what is it? Environmental, sun temperature, and moderate again. So yeah, maybe it's just more sun bleached. What is it like with the ring? Yeah, it's okay. Actually, I'll change the color. I think that one I want to change the color. Oh, actually, I just want to turn off the overriding color. That's what I want to do. There we go. So we'll say that this is extreme sun bleached landscape. Magnus says they saw a meme earlier referencing Incredible Cross Sections book. Oh yeah, those were good. Those were really good books. Oops. Yep. All right, so we got the sun. We got. Let's see. All right, I got these 2 mountains. I'm curious what I'm gonna get. So let's roll a die and see what we get there. 6. So it's a creature. And oh, I got it. No, wait, did I? No, I didn't. I got 6 and a 5. So it's oh, I got to fix that too. So 5 or 6 severe. So there's a strong monster. So we'll call it 8 plus HD monster over there. So we got a strong one. Usul has called a big one. All right, where's our monster? So a strong monster, 8 HD plus. All right. And see that the what I'm trying to demonstrate with this is that now, granted, if you're doing the challenge, you're gonna have to do what I'm doing here, all the steps I'm taking. You're gonna have to do it. Let's see, how many times is it on the big map? Sorry, I'm just going up here. You know, you got to do it a bunch of times. But really, if you sat down and you gave yourself an hour or 2, you could probably get through all the way through what I'm doing here in maybe an hour or so, maybe less, depending on how much, if you're rolling everything versus being more thinky, kind of whatever you're doing. Because this stuff, it takes longer for me because I'm rolling, I'm talking about it, I'm doing it. So if I was just sitting at a table by myself doing that, you could probably hash this stuff out pretty darn quickly. And yeah, you got to do it a few times. But then you have the idea, I think, is you can do this. And then if you're doing the challenge, you basically have the rest of the year. If you spend the first week or 2 weeks, and I think over a week period, if you just spend, I'm going to spend an hour even a half an hour, 20 minutes a day, I feel like you could knock out all your local hexes and all this stuff probably in 20 minutes a day over a week, I think. Maybe an extra day or two, whatever. But even if you want to say 2 weeks, which I think would be excessive, but lean into it, get into it. Then you're done. And then all the rest of the year is figuring out which hexes you want to detail more and just running with whatever ideas you get. But if you're just doing it, if you just want to play a game and you're just like, I need an area, like one of these hexes or less than this is plenty. Plenty. And then if you do this in a day or two, then you've got, all the rest of your time to figure out where the party's going to start off, presumably in some settlement up here. Pick a problem. We've got some multiple potential problems in interesting spots. We got all these ruins. We got caves. We got creatures. We got all kinds of stuff going on just in this one hex, and you don't even need this whole hex. You could do. But remember, just keep in mind, these are 3-mile hexes, so they're not as big as your 6-mile hexes. Obviously, they're like a 3-mile hex has a little bit less than 8 square miles in it, and that's a 3-mile hex has less than 8 square miles, like 7.7 something, I think is the number for a 3-mile hex. A 6-mile hex has something like 31 square miles. So it's a 6-mile hex is magnitudes larger than the 3-mile hex. It's basically 3 or 4 times the size, right? So this is not as much square area as it might appear. All right, so let's roll for these. Let's get these. I feel like this. I like to do all the groups, I think, first. So let's do the group. I got a 5, so we've got a creature hazard. Now I'm gonna roll 2 dice. I got no, I didn't. I got 3 and 2, so 3 moderate magical monster. Okay, so we're gonna put magical animal. Yeah, well, I'm already on there, so yeah, let's grab it. Let's grab there. I can do this. Magical animal. Call it 4 to 8. Die. All right, something like that. Yeah. All right, moving on. Now we can do these. Now I'll just write this in because I had I had come up with the golden quagmire, so I will keep that. Where do we have a good, I don't know what kind of symbol. What's a good hat? Just kind of generic environmental. I think, yeah, you can use that. Wait. All right, so this one is the golden. I forgot about this title field. Does that do anything different with the title field? I don't know. I'll just copy it in both. Copy it in both. Oh, okay. All right. So there's the golden quagmires. That's done. We got another broken lands, or we got 2 bad lands here. So I'll just do this one first. Got a 1, so it's environment. I haven't gotten any doubles yet. 2 and a 5. So this one is severe wind or storms. So I'm going to go with severe winds. Severe winds. I think I used that one again, so I'll use it again over here. Environment, severe winds. All right. We're moving right along. Now there's another one at the bottom. I'll just do that one. 3, so it's a terrain hazard. There it is. Doubles. Finally got one. All right, so this one we have magical or weird. It's terrain. Where's terrain? Magical or weird terrain. Let's see. What's a good magic? Symbol of magique. Is there a magic? A red skull or a tree? tree for good magic. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I like either one of those. Oh, one of the cosmic might have something. Anything? What is that? It's like an asteroid. Okay, asteroids. No, that's not gonna do it. Creature. Nah. General. Eh. Yeah, I'm already using Magnus Point's not using the swirl. I'm already using the swirl, so I kind of don't want to use the swirl again. I'm already using 2 colors of swirls. I might have to though, because nothing else is really looking very good for magic. That's what fall foliage, coral. Okay, a volcano. What's that? Brick. We got maybe this. I don't love it, but what color is that supposed to be? It's just black, so let's make it maybe red. Well, it's gonna kind of everything. I feel like it's gonna be hard not to. Well, let's see how yellow does. Let's see. All right, that might work. That might work. And I'll put a note. So there's a magical magical terrain hazard. What is it? Don't know. Now we've only got 3 left. So we'll do another Badlands, Broken Lands, Barrens, 5. So it's a critter. And I got 5 and 0, or 1 and a 5, I guess I should say, which means we've got an animal, but it's a strong one. So it's an animal, but it's a toughie. And you can bend these. I'm just using them again. These are all about trying to be evocative. Get your inspiration going. There may not be an animal that's 8 plus HD, and that's fine. But it's kind of an idea of sort of thinking about a little bit of like, well, what is it? What kind of animal? What I should be? What do I want to roll on it? What do I want to look at? And so and it also could be the amount of animals. So maybe you pick it's a small animal, but there's a bunch of them. For whatever reason, it's not. It could be one singular animal, or it could be a bunch of animals. Or if an animal doesn't fit, then pull something else. Oh, strong is right. We're strong animals. 8 HD plus. There's a whale here. Oops. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Now we got 2 left. Look at that. 2 left. Okay, 3. So we get terrain again. 2 dice. 1 and 2. So it is some kind of crevasse, ravine, cliff. And it's moderate. The cliffs of madness. All right, what did I call it? Environmental hazards? Got the sun, kind of wind. What do we got? We got something for like cliff. What could we use for that? I don't think there's a good thing, unfortunately. Guess I'm just gonna have to use an X. What did I say? It was moderate. Is it a crevasse or a cliff or a ravine? I guess I could roll a die. 1 to 2 crevasse, 3 to 4 ravine. I mean, I guess the crevasse and ravine are pretty much the same, but maybe so I'll say 1 to 3. It's a something that's digging into the ground. 4, 5, 6. It's above the ground. It's raising up. So 4, 5, 6. There's some kind of cliff. Moderate cliffs. Parentheses, exclamation mark. And then we got one more. All right, we're in the mountains. Roll 2, so it's terrain. No, sorry, it's environment. And 1 and 5, which means it's fog or mist, and it is severe. Well, that works. That works. Did I never write down what was in here? What was there? What was up in this whirlpool? Was that the magical symbol or the magical portal I put there? I think it was. Let's see. Override the color to. Where's black? Oh, there it is. Black. Oh. Did I put it in the right spot? What did I do? Oh, there it is. Okay. And then severe Master Fog. Call it Foggy Mountain! Exclamation. Well, great. So we got a whole bunch of stuff. We got a creature, a small monster, or, weaker monsters over there. We've got a magical animal, magical creature that's fairly strong that's in there. We've got sandstorms in that desert. We've got a strong, kind of another sort of big animal on one side of this cave. On the other side, we've got a monster. Over here, we have some cliffs. We got some very bad fog. We have a magical portal next to a couple of creatures, or a creature that's, I think, probably one set of creatures there that's pretty strong. We've got the golden quagmires that I already talked about. We have the severe suns. We got some kind of interesting environmental elements, and so we can play with that stuff. Obviously, when people are entering the hex, we can use this to inform what's in there, but it's still loosey goosey, vague. It's not it's not meant to tie you down to this is now the final thing, but give you some things to play with. Jason says they're 15% with no charger. Oh boy, well, whew, good luck, Jason. Put it on battery saver. Thanks for hanging out. And I think so. Yeah, I think we're just over an hour. So with all the talking, and I had to add more stuff in here, I think this is a pretty good run through. I think it's funny because on the one hand, it's one of the things I'm always curious about is you put together these tables and things, and of course it's random, so it's gonna be a lot of random chance. But you kind of want, I always want to look at what kind of density am I getting of stuff? Is it too much? Is it too little? And I was concerned it was going to be too much, and it still could be in certain situations, depending on what you roll. It could be too much, but I think when you have a fair amount of the stuff, but really each one of these is one entry, right? There's one entry for this sandstorms that covers these three, and heck, you could even have it covering this other one too if you wanted to. There's one entry for the quagmires. There's one entry for these monsters. So a lot of these things will, when you get down to actually keying up your hex map, will compress into these kind of regional or area descriptions. And then, like I said, you can decide, or you can dice it out to decide whether there's or what sort of unique things per hex. But we're starting out with a lot of stuff, but we're looking for those patterns, and we're trying to use those patterns to minimize what we're doing. That's what we did with these hazards. I'm going to fix a couple things, and then I will convert this back into the document as an example, and then I might push out adding that example in another one of these. It might not, I don't know if it'll be today necessarily. I might see what I can do, but probably, I don't want to say, because whenever I say something, I feel like I never get there. Probably by the weekend. I'll say maybe tomorrow, or what's today? Today is Wednesday, right? Jeez. So I got Thursday, Friday. So yeah, maybe by the weekend I'll have it on there. So we'll keep plugging away and developing it. But I do like how this is coming out. I like that there's a mix of sort of mundane stuff, some weird stuff. We got a magically, some kind of weird magical phenomenon happening down here. I'm not sure what that is. And like I said, you don't need to determine it right away, because here we have this cave and we have a ruins. To me, I look at this and go, these may be related somehow. It makes sense to me that they would be related. They're all touching maybe the ruins at the cave, maybe the magic effect of the cave and the ruins. There's some relationship between them, kind of thing, right? This burial mounds and these creatures, we don't know what they are yet. Could they be related. So you want to use all those patterns to your advantage to group things together and then write up something for those groups. So you end up with all these kind of sub regions, or I'm calling them areas or expanses that you've got. And then when you get down to your individual hexes, they'll have some interesting stuff because they're part of these groups. And then you can add specific stuff if you want to, or whatever frequency you want to for individual hexes. But we'll keep seeing this as this develops. Thanks so much for hanging out with me here. More to come. So if you're interested in, I don't know the best way on itch. So right now it's the book this is all going into. If you're haven't somehow got this far in the stream and you don't know the book I'm using, it's called Joy of Hex Maps, which is on itch right now. It's free for the month of January, and then February it'll flip over to being a pay product, I guess. And then at that point, I will also put a version up on. I will put it on drive-through as well. I'm doing a lot of updating, and I'm kind of working on it actively. And I don't know. I just feel like it's enough to put it on, to do it on itch, and then drive-through. Just things take longer. It's a little bit slower. The process isn't quite as smooth. So I'll just wait until I get to that point, and then I'll put it up on drive-through. But this will end up in the book, and I hope to keep kind of for at least the main steps, and maybe I'll end up with this something all described out and have it at the end also, so that you could probably have it as its own little mini campaign setting or mini thing if you wanted. I don't know if it would be worth it, but the the advantage for me is that running through here just lets me, because a lot of the stuff is from stuff I had in my head and stuff I do, but not formalized. So it's kind of, I'm formalizing stuff and then I'm running through it, working through it as I go. And that's what you're seeing here. Any case, thanks for hanging out on the stream. Enjoy the rest of your day, night, whenever you end up watching or listening to this. Game on, everybody. And I'll talk to you later. Bye now.